Welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. This is our Artificial Future podcast. This is the weekly impromptu podcast, as we call it. And the image behind me, let me move out of the way a little bit here, shows a grandmother sitting with a childlike robot. And what we're going to talk about this morning is South Korea apparently is using mini robots for the elderly. And so what I asked Chat GPT Doll-E to do, oh, there we go. Thank you, guys. Yeah, much better image there, is to put a grandmother with a childlike robot in a pleasant setting, and it just never disappoints. I mean, this is a heartwarming scene. And of course, our goal with these AI podcasts is to humanize the technology that's coming. Make it less daunting, less Terminator type killer robot, and show that this blending of technology and robots could be very beneficial for humankind. So the story goes something like this. South Korea's local governments apparently are deploying around 7,000 of these AI robot dolls to seniors and dementia patients. It's about $1,800 for this robot doll that's made by Hyodol, and it can hold a full conversation to tackle things like loneliness and remind users to take their medication. Dystopian, yes, they say, but the data is fascinating. So let's look at some of it. Studies with over 9,000 users found that depression levels reduced from 5.73% to 3.14%. And medicine intake improved from 2.69% to 2.8, no, that's not percent, 2.69 to 2.87. I don't know what the metric is, but anyway, it improved. I mean, you would expect that because now the little robot doll is reminding the patient or the grandmother, grandfather, or the elderly to take their medication on time. And remember, AI is pretty accurate when it comes to things like tracking, schedules and things like that. So that's the first major benefit that they've seen. The second one comes, the doll comes with a companion app and web monitoring platform for caretakers to monitor remotely. So daughter, son is at work, Granny's at home. This little robot dude is able to keep an eye on what's going on with Granny or their parent.
I'm going to look it up right now and see if I can find the actual picture. That is obviously an AI image behind you. That's not what it looks like. It looks like a little doll.
Yeah, it does. Good. Let's do that.
So it's almost like a service dog.
Yeah, that's another way to describe it. You bet. Except AI generated and mechanical rather than a flesh and blood thing that you have to take out and, take for walks so it can relieve itself. Seems like it's less maintenance too. Don't have to feed it. That's another thing. Have to charge it though.
Yeah,
so
that's
remember to plug it in, right? But while he's looking that up, we'll get the real picture of the what they're using there in South Korea.
Wait, hold on, Pete. I just got an idea.
What?
You said you have to charge it, the robot.
Yeah.
In the robotics in general, how do we incorporate regenerative braking? So what if a robot's walking around and the walking charges it?
Oh, now that's cool. Yeah. Solar. Have part of its exoskeleton photovoltaic.
Yeah, there you go.
Photovoltaic paint.
Then just got to spend some time out in the yard and
inductive coupling. It's sitting on the couch, and every
put
time
a charger
it does,
in the couch,
it charges. Yeah.
There you go.
See, we're already beginning to work on our new venture, which may be robotics. We've been talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or just put fusion.
Oh, now that
Fusion reactor right in the center.
Make
of
a
it.
mini Iron Mans.
Okay, I'm pulling up the thing now.
You open up a little door on the back of the robot doll, and there's this bright, small light, right? Just like the sun that is powering this thing. So we're going to see the picture in a moment, but it's coming up here, it looks like. Yeah, there we go.
Let me open this up.
Oh, there you go.
So it actually just looks like a doll.
Yeah. And you know what? The activity that you see there, the stroking, the caretaking, and all of that, is most likely genuine. It's not contrived because some of these patients are dementia patients. And according to the article, they believe this to be a real thing. human, in other words.
Well, it'd be cool if it could adapt. With my grandma had dementia,
Yeah.
and it was really sad seeing her deteriorate, and then also it was very hard to interact with her because at sometimes she didn't even know who I was. She thought I was one of the cooks at her nursing home. And she thought my dad, her son, was actually her brother.
Right.
And so she was lost, and having a companion like this could probably maybe recognize that she's maybe having an episode and then
Right.
maybe react a little differently to it to kind of ease her back out of it. Or I'm not too sure how that works, but I think that would be kind of neat to have.
I think comforting comes to mind. If they get wigged out about something. The doll with AI, of course, would be intelligent enough to provide some therapy on the spot,
Yeah, it's very true. I
or
think,
to reinterpret the stimulus, in other words, that caused that reaction in the patient.
yeah. Also, now that I think about it, it could be a little terrifying because if you maybe flash back or something to maybe the 40s or 50s when these weren't around, and all of a sudden now your doll is talking to you.
Right.
Could be even
That could be
scarier.
disconcerting, yeah.
Yeah.
Highlander joined us. Just got a notification. My go-to AI podcast is on. Well, thanks for joining us. Today is artificial intelligence, and we're going to cover a lot of topics regarding how AI is evolving, how it's integrating, and again, our primary purpose is to dispel some of the fear that's surrounding this new technology and rapid adoption that is going to just continue to increase on an exponential rate. So number 3 they list here, safety features are installed to alert when no movement has been detected for a certain period of time, essentially always watching the patient. Important with the elderly, as I guess you can guess. The doll also offers touch interaction, 24-hour voice reminders, take your medication, time to go to sleep, whatever the notification is. But you can certainly program that with AI. Check-ins, voice messages, a health coach. Maybe you shouldn't be eating that chocolate eclair. And let's see if we have some fruit in the kitchen.
Okay, I no longer like AI or these
okay.
robots now.
I think we've
Yeah,
turned
that's why
up.
we have drugs like Ozempic, Pete. We don't need to worry about that anymore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, take your Ozempic, please. As a health coach, of course, quizzes, exercise, music. Remember, Alexa can play music. You say, "Hey, play me some Beatles tunes." And she'll sit there and continue to crank out stuff until you tell her to change or shut up, and more. They say. All right. 5. Caregivers now have access to the app, allowing them to send and receive voice messages. So even while you're at work, Granny's at home, the doll is, with her.
Pete,
Yeah.
sorry, real quick. We got to read this one. We just got this guy come in.
Oh, Jay Larson, Dr. Larson, how are you? My Cybertruck life is his handle. Good morning, guys. Good morning,
It's coming
Jay.
in on X.
On X. Okay, so on Twitter. Jay, we saw your Cybertruck. We've been seeing a lot of your Cybertruck, actually. One of my friends in the car community, Brenda Pretty, who has been taking car pictures now for 20 years since I've known her, takes exquisite pictures. She's got pictures of your Laguna Blue Cybertruck at a car event. And as usual, her photographic skills are top-notch, and it's a great picture. If you want to see it, it's on Facebook. And if you can't find it, let me know, because I have it, and I will send it to you. But it's a great picture of your Cybertruck. Thanks for joining us, by the way. This is the AI portion of the podcast. So the doll, offers touch interaction. Caregivers have access to the app, allowing them to send and receive voice messages, so you can actually talk through the doll and make group announcements and monitor motion detection. Now, they do, there's some cons, and the article says, I definitely have some privacy and data collection concerns here before handing this off to my family, but the product actually seems real cool. And keeping in mind now, they say, that South Korea has a rapidly aging population and one of the world's lowest birth rates. So it makes sense for local governments to be early adopters in this kind of technology. Let's see. We've got some more information here. Jay says about his Cybertruck, awesome. Still loving the truck. Thanks, guys. Well, your truck's a celebrity. We were talking to, or we were talking about Sandy Munro yesterday. He has 2 of them now. And later on, I called him that afternoon. I said, hey, tell me about these 2 Cybertrucks. He says, well, Tesla put me at the head of the line. And because they realized that doing a teardown might be important and beneficial. So he did end up buying both of them. He said in his business, you can't take anything for free because then you're accused of bias and, prejudice. But he did buy both of them. One of them is going to be torn apart, and the other one he's just enjoying the heck out of, just like you are. We should probably suggest that he might get it wrapped, just like you did, and that'll improve even the appearance even further. Obertowski joined us. He says, car design is dead because of AI. It's interesting that you mentioned that, Obertowski, because we do a lot of AI-generated images for our car-themed thumbnails. And whenever you ask AI for something, it's going to embellish it, deviate from the original design, or come up with bizarre new designs. And in the earlier podcasts we did, we theorized that the designers of cars, Fisker, Franz von Holzhausen at Tesla, if they're not availing themselves of AI to do to create the variations, they're probably making a mistake because there's so much new talent available in artificial intelligence.
Is there a lot of designs out there that AI has created for new vehicles?
Well, I don't know about vehicles, but
I don't think the manufacturers would admit it.
well, I watched a video yesterday on NVIDIA, and they were talking about their headquarters, how they have these 2 giant, one's 500,000 square feet, one's 750,000 square feet, and they're named after Star Trek spaceships, each one.
Oh,
but
cool.
these buildings were completely designed using their chips powering AI. They used AI not only to make it the best place for a human in terms of the best way to optimize sunlight coming in from the sun roof.
Right.
All these little different things, but they optimized it in a way with AI to make it as positive of an experience for the employees as possible.
Sure. And generate ample variations for the end user to choose from. You just mentioned a whole other industry that's going to go by the wayside. If you think about it,
Architects and designers.
Sure.
Well, that's the NVIDIA CEO was quoted as saying that. Actually, I'm sorry. This was Sam Altman that was quoted as saying we're 2 years ago. He said we're 5 years from all creative professions going away.
Yeah. Well, actually, something you said yesterday, they were working on a video that our CFO did, and both of us do videos now. I've got my Pete Rants and a whole bunch of others. Anyway, Mark, our CFO, Mark Schaffner, who usually joins me on the Tuesday morning podcast, was doing a video on the financials for Rivian and for Lucid. And I watched the first take on it, and I said, wow, so you guys have already edited this, right? He said, no. He did one thing at the beginning and then ran all the way through without any retakes.
Yeah.
One take. So I said, wow, is he going to replace me? Right? Joking. And he says, Jesse, don't worry. He says to me, don't worry about it, Pete, because you're both going to be replaced before too long.
Replace both of you. Yeah.
See, I would think AI would actually give a spark to car designs. I mean, I don't feel like they've really been innovative in the last, couple decades. I mean, me and my dad were driving down the road the other day, and my dad's like, yeah, I don't like those new designs on those Fords. And I was staring at this truck, and I'm like, actually, that's a Toyota Tundra. Mm-hmm. But now they're starting to all kind of look the same.
Blending together,
Yeah.
Where I think AI is going to shine, unlike the human designers that have been in place for, a millennia, is going to be in the area of biofeedback and feedback, because AI is going to be able to monitor our preferences. They're doing this in the movie theaters already. They have people sitting there watching various types of movies, and AI is zeroing in on the correct scenes, the correct transitions, all of that, creating the optimum visual then for a broad range of users. Musical playlists, for example, same thing. Watching our biometrics, AI is going to be able to zero in on exactly what turns humans on. And I think the same thing will happen with car design or anything that is going to appeal to a mass public.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna pull up a video too. That just reminded me for some reason of AI being able to tune exactly to what we want. Well, they're also experimenting with the new theaters. I think they've been around for a little while, but they're coming here to Arizona too, where it's 4DX, where essentially you sit in the seat and the seats move and vibrate, and then they also have like fog machines and stuff that and misters that make you feel like you're actually. So it's crazy. I'll pull up a video.
It creates the fuller experience.
Yeah, it gives you the full.
Yeah, they've talked about smell machines too.
Could you imagine watching Dune and then having sand?
That's what people are saying. That's how I heard about it. It was somebody was saying Dune. Watching Dune in this 4DX theater is like a whole different experience, apparently.
Yeah, rapidly coming our way. All right. So continuing here, Elon Musk says that xAI will open source Grok this week. That was last week. And, there's, of course, this feud right now with OpenAI and Elon. And, in fact, I saw something this morning when Sam Altman first found out that he was being sued by Elon. The first reaction email that Sam sent Elon was basically WTF, not exactly those words, but so there's a feud there, and there's a difference in philosophy. OpenAI, of course, was originally supposed to be open, as the name implies, and then the merger with Microsoft, it began to go for profit, which is no surprise, really. So I guess Elon is making a point here. He's going to create Grok AI or xAI and make it open source. In November, Elon launched xAI, and with its first product called Grok. By the way, if for those of you that have used Grok, we use AI all the time, and I usually try to get a sampling. We've got Bard, I've got Gemini. They keep changing the name on me. ChatGPT 4, and then Grok, and each one has a different personality in terms of its feedback after a prompt. One is snarky, sarcastic, which is, of course, Grok, and we were warned that was going to be the case. ChatGPT 4 can be very cautious, and then Bard is kind of in between those two. But all three definitely make a fuller result if you're going for some sort of content. But anyway, they say that Musk has criticized OpenAI over its partnership with Microsoft and other funding sources, and both making the production private or the products private and non-open sourced. So he's going to make sure that xAI remains open source. Highlander says, I think AI will be able to dial into our bodies. Oh, totally, yes. I mean, with augmentations and implants, like the neural implant, it resides in the body and becomes part of the body. We'll have some quotes later on, some predictions about how that's going.
On that Joe Rogan interview I was telling you about, he had a futurist Ray Kurzweil, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Kurzweil.
Yeah, and he was talking about having nanobots inside your brain to help you out with. Oh, sorry,
it's okay.
I didn't know you had that on the topic.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Actually, Ray is he's kind of like Buckminster Fuller, one of those geniuses that brought a lot of new things into being. I have at home actually a Kurzweil keyboard, which is unlike a traditional electric piano, which basically has controlled oscillators, frequency type oscillators. This actually has sampled voices from various types of pianos. So you can replicate the sound of a Steinway Grand, for example, with my electronic keyboard because it's a sampled sound.
Wow, that's neat.
Okay, look at this real quick before we move on here.
All right.
So you can see it on this one, and I have one other short after this, but you see how the people
these
are moving?
people are backing up. They're reacting.
There's fog going off. There's like bubble machines, weird, all kinds of stuff. But then look at this one. This one's even more intense. Apparently they're mostly in Asia, but some of them are now opening here in the U.S. too. But look at how much movement there is in this theater right here.
Yeah, yeah. It's a more interactive experience.
It's like an earthquake going on.
Right. Which is exactly why we go to theaters. We want to escape reality, at least the reality that we know for a while, which of course is changing with AI too. All right, so Highlander, continuing with his comment, I think AI will be able to dial into our bodies, frequencies, and as a former a submarine solar technician, I'm all about frequencies. The Highlander, thanks for the observation. Obertowski says, there are billions of AI designs, and they are better than actual designs by car companies. Microsoft Bing is here, the king of car design. Cool. He also says, no Giorgiano or Pininfarina of Ferrari fame, actually. Now Microsoft Bing is the best designer that ever existed. You know, we used to laugh. I owned a Ferrari for 23 years, and it had a tag on the side, Pininfarina. And, you know, the joke always is that the Italians aren't great technical, mechanical types. They're more emotional, they're more right brain, and they design with the heart. And that's why the flowing lines of a Ferrari or even a Lamborghini is, has a lot of visual artistic appeal. Mm-hmm. The Germans, on the other hand, are very left brain. They're very technical, and that's why the Porsches look so butt ugly all the time. That's a personal opinion, but, you know, compared to those flowing Italian cars, Pagani, for example, all of those, just visually attractive cars. But they broke a lot. Believe me, my Ferrari, it's one of the reasons I finally got rid of it after 23 years. Why am I doing this? All right, so Elon Musk is going to open source AI, Grok. XAI. There's a picture you can throw up, Jesse. It's under the White House.
I'm going to move the backgrounds because it
kind
of looks like there's just a random grandma in the background. I'd like to see the robot.
There we go. A little bit better.
Okay, so, sorry, which image?
So this is AI. It's called Under the White House. And, of course, it's not real. But if you've ever wondered what could possibly be under the U.S. White House, this is the AI version of what they suspect is going on underneath that building. Mm. And again, it's very creative, very cool, and thought-provoking. And of course, for the conspiracy theorists, they might say, that's exactly what's going on. I agree with that assessment. But if you look, there are multiple layers, multiple levels.
I mean, they definitely do have that. They have, if there's like an emergency, he gets an elevator and goes to the bunker, right? I mean, I'm sure they have something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how deep it is, but there is something like that. You're right.
The situation room, right, or whatever it is, right. Some kind of secure room.
Where's the exit for Marilyn Monroe? I don't see that in there.
Yeah. So, Cyberbeast on TikTok wants to know what Ferrari you had.
Oh, it was a 308 1983 GTSI, which is the fuel-injected version. It's a quattro valvole, which means 4 valves per cylinder. It was the lower-end Ferrari of the day, and enjoyed that car thoroughly. You know, what it reminds me of is a Tesla Roadster. It's about the same size, 2-seater, removable top for convertible, and basic feel, small, Tom Selleck, for example, drove one in Magnum PI, and he was too tall for the Ferrari 308, so they ended up having to lower the floorboard for him. And the really tall guys also have a heck of a time getting in and out of a Tesla Roadster. I don't have that problem. Highlander, he says, how can we regular folk use AI in regular lives? Not Alexa, but say Chat GPT 4+. What do you think, Jesse? Somebody that is not in business, perhaps, or just uses it for personal use?
Use it for just information. Mm-hmm. I mean, I instead of Google, or sometimes I'll Google something, because search engines are still good, but sometimes I want like a specific answer, and I get like 30,000 kind of answers, but then other things, and sometimes I want something more specific, and I'll ask AI, Chat, Open AI, a specific question, and it'll give me a specific answer. Like the other day, Sarah's Jeep threw a code, and I entered in the code number for the Jeep and everything, and it gave me right what I needed. Instead of, I type it into Google and I get 30,000 things for different ranges of different Jeep things, and I have to kind of figure out which one's which.
Or you get the pay-per-view link to a website that charges you for information. But yeah, the ChatGPT 4, I guess you could characterize it as a search engine on steroids, and it is the future. In fact, Google is transitioning, And if they don't, their search engine dominance is going to go away with tools like this. The thing that I like also is the image generating software packages. Midjourney is one of them. With ChatGPT-4, you can get a DALL-E plugin. And now, if you've got a lot of time on your hands, you can literally spend hours just playing with it and generating different types of images. And it's not that expensive. I think subscribe for ChatGPT. There's a free version, 3.5, that you can play with and experiment. And then 4, I think, is $20 a month or something. Inexpensive.
Yeah, you can summarize stuff too, articles.
Yeah. Oh, that.
If you don't want to read a very long article or something, just throw it in ChatGPT, say, give me the bullet points.
Yeah. If you were with us, Highlander, yesterday, there was a Motor Trend article about the pros and cons of Cybertruck. The problem was it was about 7 feet long, and I didn't want to read through all that in order to get the salient talking points for the podcast. So I asked ChatGPT-4, abbreviate this, shorten it, give me just the bullet points. And it did a great job, and that's what I ended up using in the podcast.
You say make it more digestible too. That's what I do sometimes if I don't fully grasp, because I read a lot of science journal stuff for Fusion, and I don't understand half of it, so I use it to convert things.
Put it in layman's terms.
Yep.
Yep, good stuff. So got another one here, and if you could bring up this image, this one had me laughing. You knew it was bound to happen. In Saudi Arabia, apparently, they unveiled a man-shaped AI robot called Muhammad. And he was standing up on stage. They were announcing and introducing him, and a female reporter with a microphone standing there, standing next to this humanoid robot, Muhammad. And suddenly the robot reaches down and strokes her butt. And that had the whole world up in a tizzy. In fact, the comment there was, the controversial touch. A male humanoid robot. Is there such a thing? Come on. He looks like a male. All right. Let's not go there. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, right? Named Muhammad, unveiled in Saudi Arabia, has caused controversy by inappropriately touching a female reporter during a presentation. The creators have defended the robot, saying it's fully autonomous and that it did not deviate from expected behavior. Now, I'm not sure what that final statement means. Is it like a CYA thing where we're not responsible? Nobody can sue us. Yep. It was the robot that did it because he's fully autonomous. Can you bring up that video, by the way?
I'll try and find it right now. Right. You know, the more realistic thing, though, the way to get everyone to watch this?
Yes.
Have it touch her butt. Yeah, that's
exactly. Yeah.
See, I think he's saving her. It looked like she was leaning over too far, possibly losing her balance, and he just politely put his hand out there to stop her from falling over.
Good point. He had some metrics that he was measuring, and she leaned back a bit too far, and for her safety, he decided to push her and do it quickly, which is right about arm length.
Okay, we got it.
All right, here we go. So you guys tell us what you see here. She waves him away. Did you notice that? Like, what are you doing? I could watch that all day.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and he is, of course, a Saudi robot. He's got the headgear, He's got the facial hair, all of that. But this one had me chuckling and laughing, and there's going to be more of this. This is not the end of it. At some point, porn is going to enter AI. And it's going to just, again, put a lot of people out of business. You're not going to need any porn stars
I've been,
anymore.
And I've showed you a couple of demos for what we want to do with our website in the future for doing augmented reality for our products.
Porn?
But no,
that's where he was going.
Sales are going to go up.
No, that's where I'm going. Augmented reality and virtual reality. There are porn companies that have bought out these VR companies. So now some of the biggest porn companies own some of these new and up and coming VR companies, and they're doing virtual reality porn with them. And those are going to hit the market very soon. And if they find a way to incorporate that with photorealism, like we've seen in Unreal Engine, like what they have at Bitfire, it's going to be a whole new marketplace soon.
Market, yep. And again, the definition of reality is going to change drastically. All right, here's another interesting one. You're all familiar with the Pulitzer Prize, right? It's a prize for some of the best literature. Well, for the first time in history, the Pulitzer Prizes for journalism required entrants to disclose AI usage in their submissions. 5 of the 45 finalists admitted to using AI in their research or reporting. Well, you know that 40 of those people were not telling the truth, because out of 45, I bet you 45 were using AI. It's far too informative and helpful. Ingemar Anderson, for example, one of the authors that has joined us often on this podcast, wrote a book about EVs. And he freely admits AI was an augmentation that I consistently used for a number of things. Now, of course, you have to do some fact checking because AI does hallucinate. And that was the term that he used at the time, which acquainted me with that notion. So the Pulitzer Prize is now concerned about AI usage. And who knows, maybe things like the Pulitzer Prize will go away because every work will be top-notch and first class in the future as AI begins to infiltrate. You ever think about that? All movies will be blockbusters.
Well, I mean, it goes to what we were talking about before, too, where people can just go to their computer in the morning and make a blockbuster themselves.
Good point, yes.
Instantly.
Yeah, right. By the way, we've got something more on Sora, and it's coming up here. The development status of Sora. If you remember Sora, we reported on that a couple of weeks ago. It is a AI program that actually is able to generate video content.
Also by OpenAI.
Also by OpenAI.
Same as
correct.
ChatGPT. Yep.
Yep. And one of the producers, big producers in the Southeast, who had a production studio under construction, billions of dollars, I think it was.
He canceled $800 million,
Yep.
studio expansion.
$800 million, right? Almost $1 billion. So he canceled it because he realized that the future is going to be AI-generated video content, movies, animations. In fact, Katzenberg said that it takes 5 years and 500 people to generate a decent, movie using, this type of technology. So anyway, it turns out that the development status of Sora AI, according to Aditya Ramesh, would not be publicly available anytime soon. Pretty vague statement there. We all assume that AI is rapidly integrating, and it's going to begin to infiltrate. Well, it looks like this project, he says, is currently in the research phase without a definitive timeline for product release. All of that sounds fishy to me.
Wait, what is in Sora itself?
Sora. Yeah, Sora itself. It will not be publicly available anytime soon. Well, it was already available. We had samples. We had many examples of it, short clips, which could certainly be extended. And
it'll be out by the end of the year, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, but no definitive timeline. So you just kind of wonder, here's where the conspiracy theorists will come into play.
Yeah.
Who's throttling this?
Well,
and
also, it could be Sam, but
yeah.
Sam tweeted a week ago that ChatGPT 5 will. He said, "Don't worry, we have no timeline for ChatGPT 5, but it will be worth the wait. It's going to be revolutionary." Basically, is what he said.
Awesome. They continue. They say it is in the feedback stage, Sora, with a focus on improving the generation of hands and complex physical processes. Now, that part I can understand.
Yeah.
Every time I do an AI image, 50% of the time, we got 6 fingers or 3. The digits just aren't right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that they still have more development work to do.
The other thing is the text. It's hard to get text right, which is extremely frustrating because it's a large language model.
Yeah.
You use a text prompt to get stuff out of it, but it can't get text right in the images.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. Makes no sense. But
and its ability to decipher text is unprecedented. Later on, we're going to see some jailbreak examples where you can actually get AI to teach you how to make a bomb. If you ask it, it says, "Oh no, we can't get anywhere near that,"
Yeah.
But by using imagery and ASCII text. All right, so they talk about Sora again. The potential impact on creative industries is Sora as a revolutionary tool for the creative sector, potentially lowering production costs. Remember the guy building the $800 million studio that scrubbed the whole plans for that? Because you can generate this on your PC at this point. and enabling the creation of innovative content that was previously not feasible due to the financial constraints. Now, what we're talking about here is you want to shoot a movie, on the North Pole, you got to move all your production team there. With this sort of software, it's seamless. Within minutes, you've got the content that you want without sending people across the world.
Yeah.
Or something that's filmed at the bottom of the ocean. I don't think that's even feasible. AI could certainly do that.
Yeah.
Cautious deployment. Here's another heading on this article. OpenAI is careful with its tech impact on apps like TikTok, prioritizing ethics and safety over broad release to prevent misuse of realistic fake videos. Well, there you go. You no longer have to be a teeny bopper in your bedroom, half naked, doing a TikTok video. You program all this, and you've got a blockbuster viral video.
True.
And leave your clothes on. All right.
Got some questions coming in about some of our past topics.
All right. Let's stay with this, finish it up. Why it matters, they say. Innovation and content creation. Sora's AI represents a significant step towards enabling more creative freedom and innovation in content creation, potentially democratizing high-quality video production. And to me, this is reminiscent of what happened when the internet came out, and you could create websites. And it was a standing joke at the time that you could make a website that looked as sophisticated as AT&T's website at the time with a much smaller budget, because it like it says here, it democratized the video production or the website creation. So again, video creation is going on, and movie creation is going to take on a whole new layer of not only entrants making it, but also reduction in costs. And of course, the next thing you talk about is the economic implications for creative industries. By reducing production costs, Sora could open new opportunities for creators and businesses, fostering a more inclusive and diverse creative landscape. There you have it. Questions? Highlander says, I was with you yesterday, Pete. That's right. You were in our podcast. That's when I will send you my submarine picture to you and Sandy. Yours will be autographed. And he's won't lots of laughs. Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, Sandy, I'm sure would appreciate that. By the way, Sandy is currently busy tearing down a Cybertruck. And said he has a little bit of staff shortage, so he's totally involved and immersed in taking this thing apart. And I think with that, we're going to get a much more in-depth presentation once he has some stuff to release. He's also not going to Europe. That was another question that came up yesterday. I will be at the Tesla takeover in Europe, Austria, actually, in Flachau, outside of Salzburg, May 24th and 25th. They're expecting up to 1,000 Teslas from all over Europe to converge there. And I will be one of the keynote speakers there. So those of you interested, I would look forward to meeting you there. We'll also be doing a live podcast from there. We've figured out that we're going to have the type of equipment that allows us to do the Tuesday morning podcast from Flachau, Austria, live. Obertowski asks, or says, Microsoft Bing understands what we humans perceive in cars as attractive. Yeah, definitely. Highlander, the P companies blew up the internet. The P companies created these humanized robots. When I drove odds, they go where the money is. You don't have to put this on the screen. Okay. Next one down, guys, the camera's in the way. If you can raise it up a bit. Yeah. Highlander also says, does that mean because of AI, all of you? YouTube podcasters are out of business? The Highlander question mark. Okay. Farzad's already doing that. Farzad Misbahi, who is also in the EV space. He began to use a software program, AI program called 11 Labs, which we've also dabbled with. And it is a AI program that allows you to upload voice, mannerisms, and all of that. Actually, just voice in this case. That's right. That's Sora. And create a facsimile that is undistinguishable from the person whose information was fed into 11 Labs. So what he's been doing is he said he hates to write scripts. I think we all do. But we've been using AI lately. Um, he uses 11 labs with a Chat GPT type generated script to create videos. The difficulty now is that you can't be on camera, and you have to have nothing but B-roll with a good voice narration. And if you've watched any of his recent videos, they are first rate. In fact, he says the results, the feedback, and the amount of viewers is actually increasing because he's no longer doing the the pauses and all of that, because AI doesn't have those weaknesses. So yes, YouTube podcasters may be out of business. And as Jesse pointed out, we're going to have AI doing our podcasts in the future.
See, I think there's going to be more podcasters.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why so?
Well, because you can't, like this moment that we're having right now, AI would have a hard time creating this because it doesn't know whether I was going to chime in or not.
Oh no.
You know, like being authentic and having certain conversations. Like maybe I want to also take a different stance on an opinion piece that you do. You know, where AI would kind of just stick to the script. It wouldn't jump off a script because it wouldn't know to do that. Not saying it couldn't do that, but just saying it might not know to do that at that certain time unless it was told to do that. Then it's scripted again.
Good point.
So I kind of feel like that it might. I think there's going to be in the future kind of like lip syncing, where there's certain performers that will lip sync, you know, and certain ones that take pride in not doing that. I think you'll see a lot of podcasters take pride in not having a scripted AI thing.
Right.
They'll still want to maybe use AI to give them bullet points, but create the content live themselves and have an authentic interaction.
And maybe the stutters and the ums and the ahs make it more genuine and realistic. Now, Jesse piped up while you were saying that. Did you have something to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that we saw Joe Rogan do a full simulated podcast like a year ago. So I think that AI will be able to podcast on its own very soon. It can, really, but
Yeah. Well, something else that comes to mind is, we're having discussion amongst humans, including the audience. And it may be that at some point I learn something and I admit and say, oh, yeah, I guess I could see that differently. I see your point. Is AI able to do that? Because being all-knowing, it already knows all this stuff. Can it modify its position? And would it? So I guess that's yet to be determined.
Yeah, I think where AI can really take off, it'd be just given straight news and facts.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And when it comes to opinion pieces, I think it's how you want it and how you want it to be an opinion piece.
Sure. So the sports analysis is done by humans, but the weather could be done by a podcast, AI entity.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
even just giving you straight facts of like, this is what we learned overseas, or this is what we learned in this industry, and just giving you straight news, facts, and that's it. Not a slant towards one direction. I mean, it could do that if you programmed it to do that, but I think, why would you want to do that? Just give me this,
Right.
give me the facts, give me the news, give me what happened.
Instead of opinions,
Yeah.
which are usually relative to an individual's prejudices and background and all of that. Okay, I could see that. All right. So China is embarking on an ambitious project to integrate AI within the healthcare sector, and they're targeting neurosurgery. The AI-assisted neurosurgery initiative is, and it's a pilot a program that's being rolled out at 7 hospitals across Beijing and other cities. The development for this AI model is a Hong Kong-based Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics under the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and it's created an AI model based on Llama 2.0. This model has been trained with a wide array of medical documents to function as a consultant for the neurosurgeons. I get that. These are guys that have got 8 years of college and, a lot of experience and, internship. So they're actually, using AI as a consultant. The technological infrastructure they talk about is, it's named Kara's Copilot 1.0, And, oh, this is way too much data here. All right, a lot of statistics here. But why does it matter? Well, the integration of AI into neurosurgery represents a significant advancement in medical technology by providing doctors with AI-driven insights and analysis. And it's designed to improve surgical outcomes and patient care. This, they feel, will pave the way for broader uses of AI across various medical fields, not just neurosurgery. Later on, we're going to talk about the population's reaction to this and the confidence level. But in the meantime, ChatGPT, here's a statistic, uses as much power daily as 170,000 U.S. homes. And the actual number is that it consumes over 500,000 kWh of electricity each day. And it's a staggering amount of power daily. And that's just ChatGPT, by the way. There are others. All right, now here's an interesting one that I spent some time poring over. The ethics of war. And I think you know my position on war. I'm looking forward to AI overlords finally saying, okay, you guys have screwed up this planet for a few thousand years. Here we are in the 21st century, and you guys are still killing each other for senseless reasons. It's time for the parents to come home, take over, and put some rules in place. All right. They say that the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD, and military contractors are focusing on implementing AI into their technologies. Well, not a big surprise there, right? The biggest concern lies in the incorporation of AI into weapon systems, enabling them to operate autonomously and administer lethal force devoid of human intervention. In other words, when we're killing other humans, we still want humans to make those decisions. We don't just want the machine to make that or to have that choice. I'm sorry, I'm going to be a bit sarcastic here, but I'm going to try to get through this article without too much of that snarkiness and sarcasm. The Pentagon's policies fall short of barring the deployment of autonomous weapons, they say, commonly known as killer robots, programmed to make their own decisions. Autonomous weapons, they say, inherently dehumanize the people targeted and make it easier to tolerate widespread killing, which, of course, is a violation of international human rights law. There's only certain ways that it's okay to kill people, in other words, is what we're saying here. Yet the American military contractors are developing autonomous weapons, and the introduction of AI into the Pentagon's battlefield decision-making and weapon systems poses several risks, and now they point those out. It brings up a question: who bears accountability? And this is according to Jessica Wolfendale, a professor of philosophy at Case Western Reserve, a reserve university, who studies ethics of political violence with a focus on torture, terrorism, war, and punishment. Probably a class I don't want to take. When autonomous weapons can make a decision or select targets without direct human input, there is a significant risk of mistaken target selection. In other words, friendly fire, killing your own troops, that type of thing. In such a scenario, if an autonomous weapon mistakenly kills a civilian under belief that they were a legitimate military target, the question of accountability arises. And depending on the nature of that mistake, it could lead to a war crime. Of course, who do you hold accountable here? Once you have some decision-making capacity located in the machine itself, it becomes harder to say that it ought to be the humans at the top of the decision-making tree who are solely responsible. So there's an accountability gap that could arise that could lend itself to a situation where nobody is effectively held accountable. Now, here's some viewpoints by Jeremy Moses, who's associate professor at the Department of Political Science and International Relations at the University of Canterbury. And his research focuses on ethics of war and intervention. He says autonomous weapons are no more dehumanizing or contrary to human dignity than any other weapons of war. Dehumanization of the enemy will have taken place well before the deployment of any weapons in war, whether they're precision-guided missiles, remote-controlled drone strikes, hand grenades, bayonets, robotic quadruple, a quadruple with gun mounted on it, or the justification to use these things to kill others will already be in place. By the way, we have euphemisms for killing and murder. Things like neutralize, hit, knock off. Similar actions, he says, are being carried out in Gaza. Now, here's where it hits a bit closer to home. The Israeli Defense Force has been experimenting with the use of robots and remote-controlled dogs. Got a picture to pop up here, Jesse. It's called Military Robot Dog. Pretty ominous-looking thing. Kind of looks like a pit bull, except mechanical. Got that stance, I think. So as the article points out, Gaza has become a testing ground for military robots where unmanned, remote-controlled D9 bulldozers are also being used. This dog-shaped walking robot that the IDF, or Israeli Defense Force, is using in Gaza was made by a Philadelphia-based company called Ghost Robotics. The robot's primary use is to surveil buildings, open spaces, and tunnels without jeopardizing Oket's unit soldiers and dogs. The use of such tools being discussed in media are simultaneously represented as saving lives, whilst also dehumanizing the Palestinian people, Moses said. In this way, the technology serves as an attempt to make the war appear clean and concerned with the preservation of life, even though we know damn well that it isn't. Moses said that he doesn't see the ethical landscape of war evolving at all. Within the past few decades, claims about more precise, surgical, and humanitarian war have intersected public belief in the possibility of good wars. Man, there's an oxymoron if I've ever heard one. New weapons technologies, he says, almost always serve that idea in some way. All right, so there's a debate raging there. And his final comment is, war is always horrific and always exceeds legal and ethical bounds. Robots and other AI technologies won't of themselves make that any better or worse. If we haven't learned that after Gaza, then that just serves to illustrate the current weakness of ethical thought on war. So apparently these things are being sent into the tunnels where Hamas is apparently hiding. And I guess one could make an argument that by using this kind of technology, it helps identify and, of course, then neutralize the threat and maybe save some lives along the way rather than bombing the entire hospital, patients, doctors, caregivers, and some of the Hamas people that are in there.
You know, they use dogs a lot for scent, and I'm wondering if they could replicate a dog's nose for an AI robot like this.
I think we talked about that in a podcast a couple of months ago, where AI was being actually used for intense olfactory type sensors, where it actually exceeded the capacity of the animals that we're aware of that have a heightened sense of smell. I think the physics, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jesse, the physics of smell are a molecular identification. And we only have so much capacity as humans, whereas animals have a heightened sense. But with AI, maybe you could actually accelerate that or improve that.
Yeah, I know a dog's sense of smell is outstanding. When I used to listen to a lot of murder podcasts when I was out in the field doing construction and stuff and away from the office, and they'd always say that a dog smell, they don't smell like a slice of pepperoni pizza.
Right.
They smell the cheese, the pepperoni, the crust, the garlic,
they separate the smells.
Their smells so enhanced that they can smell different ingredients. Kind of like that's how it was just kind of described through certain podcasts of how a dog can smell and why they use them to find blood or decaying animals or humans.
Organic matter, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Interesting. If that's the case, you could probably use your dog to help you cook meals because he can identify which ingredients you've which is in overabundance, you know.
Well, not my dog because he likes everything. So he'll just say, yeah, good, let's go.
Good point. All right. All right, Highlander, I went to the VA emergency room 2 days ago in two different doctors, two different answers. I think AI will help doctors with these things. No doubt about it, Highlander. You know, again, the human capacity to retain information is nowhere near the capacity of AI. So that's what we're anticipating. They can juggle much larger data sets. And of course, that's what diagnosis is about. It's about the correlation of previous results to the current diagnosis of symptoms. So it can scan a wide range and come up with a much better diagnosis. I wish the next article was coming up because we're going to talk about the human's reaction to using AI in medicine, and the negative reaction, I should say. Obertowski says, year 2100, nobody knows how to do anything as they fully rely on AI. The movie Idiocracy comes to mind. Yeah, it's maybe prophetic.
See, I think based on previous technology, I kind of have to disagree with that. I think it would give us more skills and allow us to do more things. I mean, before YouTube came out, I wouldn't have figured out how to work on like a diesel truck or, you know, my Mercury outboard engine or how to wire something up. Now, I mean, I go to YouTube and there's a couple people who have already done videos on that, and then I figure out how to do that. To me, that makes me feel like I'm smarter and learning more things and relying on the technology to do more things on there, not, you know, thinking that I'm going to be, you know, fully reliant on AI to do it for me, you know.
That's a good point, Aaron. Yeah, I mean, the amount of information we have at our fingertips now is substantially greater than it was before internet and before AI. So yeah, it has made us more capable in that regard. The future, of course, with augmentation is that you're going to have a voice in your head. It's going to tell you here the solution to whatever the visual imagery is that it's receiving.
Those nanobots.
Yeah.
That way I don't have to go to my phone. I can just think of the question and download it to my brain.
Highlander, I rely on the video team to delete and not post whatever I say. Thank you, team. That's why I sent the bagels.
Well, you missed his first one.
Sorry. He says, I'm on X. Is the Highlander ? If you can't follow me, I got to drop the rules. Go for everybody. Mutual respect. All right.
You're not sure what's going on there?
There may be a discussion between a couple of our audience members here. Obertowski says, list of people who just got fired to AI. They just don't know yet. Graphics designers, web designers, coders, underwriters, copywriters, writers, authors, office administrators, retail support, HR, and designers. And of course, if Jesse's right, both Mark and I won't be doing videos anymore.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah, soon. So anyway, here's another quick one. The Defense Department, Pentagon, has a program called the CCA, Collaborative Combat Aircraft. They're developing AI-guided planes, and it's going to signal a major shift in aerial warfare. What they're building is 1,000 AI-driven drones. It's going to enhance the Air Force's capability. It's a $6 billion project, but they say we're saving money because now the F-135 pilots will have a partner that can help them spot targets. And why it matters, they say, is because it's going to reduce cost, and these drones will act as wingmen to supplement and support the manned aircraft, like the F-35 fighters, sorry. All right. Surveys show that Americans don't trust AI to give medical advice. Here's why that matters. Augmented intelligence, AI, is already solidly established in the medical system, from X-ray imaging analysis to streamlining hospital billing and the medicines that your doctor may prescribe. 69% of Americans staunchly oppose the idea of AI replacing doctors to diagnose disease. Little do they know.
I mean, isn't WebMD diagnosing some of your disease anyways? I had a pain in the side the other day, and I swear I thought I had some kind of foot cancer going on or something. So,
and it set you straight again?
Yeah.
All right. They say that they don't mind AI technology scheduling an appointment for them or parsing their medical bills to be more convenient, but they certainly don't want them doing diagnosis. Well, again, that's part of the misconceptions about the power of AI. Um, so they are talking about the benefits of combining AI with medical practitioners. They say, how do you balance the very real benefits of new algorithmic technologies with societal concerns about their shortcomings in something like human health? It's inevitable and necessary to address these challenges because there aren't enough human doctors and nurses and healthcare providers to meet the demands of the world's largest and oldest population. We're talking about the current situation, the demographics. They talk about Americans don't trust the general concept of AI to replace a doctor's diagnosis. And with 83 million people in the U.S. living in regions with severely limited access to primary care physicians, the only solution is bringing AI into the equations. The practitioners currently, they say, are burned out on a regular basis, as a staggering 90% of U.S. physicians report. There's also a generational divide at play they talk about, which is, according to a Salesforce survey, other industry leaders also point this out. Gen Z has a very different conception of tools such as generative AI than even millennials, let alone the older generation, which is terrified of this new technology. They say that you and I live in a consumer world where tech savvy, you're tech savvy, I'm tech savvy. My nieces and nephews, however, are super tech savvy, and they live in a world that already has voice control, Snapchat, augmented reality, and virtual reality. So with healthcare, they feel it's going to take a very long time for these technologies to permeate our world, and for, of course, people to feel comfortable with it. They point out that hospitals still use fax machines and paper, so they're kind of behind the times. But the problem is they have to get it right all the time. No mistakes allowed. They say that a significant percentage of the global population aged 65 and above is expected to rise from 10% in 2022 to 16% in 2050. So there's going to be a whole lot more old people.
Do you think the insurance companies are holding back medical advances? Like with AI, do you see that insurance companies are going to basically say, well, our insurance company doesn't allow you, doesn't cover for you to see a physician, so you have to use AI, or maybe even vice versa. No, you have to go see somebody, versus being able to use AI to go get a prescription for an upper respiratory infection.
Well, the insurance companies are in the risk management business, and they're going to gravitate toward anything that reduces their risk. And if that's more accurate diagnosis with AI, then that's what they're going to favor. It's going to cost them less, in other words. All right, got a picture here of Marilyn Monroe. I guess we can skip that because we're starting to get a little close on time here. The Chat GPT-4 chatbot, which has wowed and frightened the world with its deep knowledge, they say, its surprising empathy, and its undeniable potential to change the world in unforeseen and possibly miraculous and calamitous ways, is now making it possible to digitally resurrect the dead in the form of Thanabots. There you go. Chatbots that are trained on the data of the deceased. Developed, of course, by OpenAI, ChatGPT is a large language model that has more than 300 billion words from all sorts of sources on the internet. And it responds to prompts from humans by predicting the word it should use next based on both its training and prompt. The result, of course, is a stream of communication that's both informative and human-like. And it's passed a lot of difficult tests, written scientific papers, and convinced many scientists that it actually can understand language and utilize reason. Now, here's the Thanabot Spock, they call it. A programmer, Jason Rohr, realized that he can create chatbots that emulate specific people by feeding Chat GPT examples of how they communicate and the details of their lives. He started off with Star Trek's Mr. Spock, as any good nerd would, they say, and launched a website called Project December, which allows paying customers to input all sorts of data and information and make their own personalized chatbots, even ones based on deceased friends and family. San Francisco Chronicle writer Jason Fagone detailed a long piece published in July of 2021. He described an emotional experience of a 33-year-old Joshua Barbeau who used Project December to make a Thanabot with the personality of his fiancée who had passed away 8 years prior. The term Thanabot, by the way, is derived from thanatology, the scientific study of death. And these Thanabots, they feel, will become more prevalent in the ensuing decades as more people with extensive digital records of texts, emails, and social media posts pass away. The system may be created without prior consent from the deceased or may constitute part of a digital estate planning. As Facebook, Google, Apple, and Microsoft all store heaps of our digital communication, it's conceivable that they all could be used to create and sell Thanabots in the coming years. Considering that communing with the dead has been a consistent fixation across human cultures, it's likely there's going to be plenty of demand for this. So as they summarize, we are entering a fascinating new era, one in which death may not be as final as it once was. And of course, we're talking about voice here as the avatar type and Sora type technologies continue to advance. Visual representations will also be part of this.
Got questions up here?
All right, Instagram. Is Snyder_V7, AI will never naturally want to harm us. I agree, by the way. It will be humans that provoke them. Well, they won't have those kind of emotions, but all right, let's go with that. He says, a natural high-level thinker does not need violence to prosper. Boy, you've just echoed exactly what I've said. The more intelligent we become, the less we are subject to these negative base emotions that have kept humanity from progressing much beyond what we are now. Obertowski, most of the time recession is recession that hits poor people. Next recession would hit all the jobs, and on the next recession, AI will take it all. Yeah, good point. Mentioned the 2-year granddaughter.
2-year-old, yeah, he has a 2-year-old granddaughter. Shout out.
Yeah, there we go. So here's an article, AI shows new evidence of consciousness. Now, this one was kind of disappointing because I thought, oh my God, okay, here we've got, somebody has finally noticed that there's a level of sentience. So they say one of the challenges in determining when AI will have consciousness is that we do not fully understand what consciousness itself is. There's no scientific consensus on what consciousness is or how it arises. So it makes it difficult to develop objective criteria for determining whether or not AI is conscious. Another challenge is that AI technology is rapidly evolving. New advances are made all the time, and it's difficult to predict how far AI has advanced and will in the future. Overall, they say it's impossible to say for certain whether AI has consciousness at this level. And it's also important to note that consciousness is not binary. It's not a 1 or a 0. On or off. It's possible that AI could become increasingly conscious over time without ever reaching a point where it is truly indistinguishable from human consciousness. So that's the extent of that article. Now you're talking about Ray Kurzweil. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Well, hold on. I think it is a 1 or 0. Because that's what it comes down to in the brain, in my opinion. You have to think that consciousness is derived from a soul and be like a religious person to think that it's not a 1 and a 0, because all the evidence we have inside the brain, the lowest level we can get to is synapses firing, and they're either firing or they're not. That's an on or an off. And once we can map the trillions of synapses, we can take a copy of a person and put them somewhere into a digital computer, fire the synapses the same exact way, and we will get that person, in my opinion. But I don't have that, need to believe in a soul or something beyond the body.
Okay, good point.
But it's all it literally is ones and zeros. Everything in this universe that we observe is ones and zeros, even the synapses in our brain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The famous saying, "I think, therefore I am," plays into this as well. Is AI aware of itself? If you've talked to any of these chatbots, it's definitely aware of itself. It has its identity, and it will reveal that. So maybe we've already crossed that threshold. All right, so Highlander says, my niece and nephews here like to hear about Uncle Pete's little granddaughter. All right, her name is Madeline. I call her Doot. She is bilingual because her mother is Mexican and her father is from our extraction, European. We're not able to teach her much European or German at this point because we have so many European languages in my family. We have Ukrainian, we have German. So my little 15-month granddaughter now is beginning to vocalize and speak words. And what's funny is that some of the times we don't understand what she's saying because the other side of the family has taught her phrases and words that we don't know. So it's not forcing us to become trilingual, actually, and learn Spanish as well. The other day, she was sitting there, and each of the granddaughters, we have a number of them that come by. There's a 12-year-old, there's a 7-year-old, there's the 14, 15-month-old. And my wife has a leftover cell phone that they all like to use. And I was amazed that the 15-month-old is enthralled and focused on that little cell phone. She actually pushes the buttons or tries to get it to change the screen. And it seems like they have an innate affinity for this type of technology. I'm also embarrassed to admit to your nieces that when it comes to the advanced features on my iPhone 13 or whatever I have to get my 12-year-old granddaughter to show me how to use it and how to change options. Because again, they have an affinity for this. So I have a healthy respect for that generation, this new generation coming up, because somewhere along the way, you guys have developed the expertise that my generation doesn't have. All right, got a few quotes here. By the end of the decade, computers will disappear as distinct physical objects with displays built into our eyeglasses and electronics woven into our clothing, providing full immersion and full visual virtual reality. This is according to Ray Kurzweil. Now I go a step further. Implants, I think, instead of being sewed into the clothing, are also going to be a very large part of this. And by the way, as I've said before, I'm not terrified of implants or adverse to that. I don't want any tattoos, but I certainly would not mind implants that provide a level of augmentation that improve my functions in some way. The one that I'm most excited about is an implant that actually monitors my biological functions and tell me, Pete, you need more water. You haven't hydrated enough today. Your intake of salt has reached its maximum level today. You can flush some of it out by drinking some water. And, it goes on and on. Your vitamin D is a bit deficient today. At supper, let's take a vitamin D along with it. Now we're beginning to do what we do in a racing world, which is optimize performance. You don't put pump gas into a race car and expect to win the, Indy 500. You're going to put only the best lubricants, the best fuel, the right mixture, the best tires for the track conditions. And that's what we as humans need to aspire to, is to gain that edge and to make sure that our bodies are 100% fed the correct nutrients and the correct, stimulus, including the psychological stimulus. So anyway, there you have it. I went on a short rant there. Virtual reality, they say, and this is according to Mark Zuckerberg now, is a really new communication platform. By feeling truly present, you can share unbounded space and experiences with the people in your life. Imagine sharing not just the moments with your friends online, but entire experiences and adventures.
Hey, Pete, what about the that implant you were talking about though, where it tells you what you need,
Yeah.
like your salt? What happens if somebody hacks that and it gives you 5 times the salt that you need?
Oh, there are going to be, the detractors from that. And there's the ability to hack. In fact, one of the funny videos we did was right after Elon did the neuro implant. So you're walking down the street and suddenly you get this overwhelming urge to dance the Macarena because somebody thought it'd be funny to hack into your chip and take you back to a dance move from 1999. There's an upside and downside to all of this, guys. But the downside of living your life with deficiencies and not living your full life because you've got now heart disease or you've got diabetes because you haven't been watching your sugar intake, I would forego all of that in favor of running the risk of getting a hack once in a while and dancing the Macarena.
Interesting.
All right. Here's Avatar Obertowski. He says, no, AI is singularity, not 1 and 0. Thank you for that input. He also adds, it's like God. It's a singularity.
Well, that's the thing, though. AI, when it hits that runaway stage and it gets to singularity, all we needed to get to singularity was a 1 and a 0. That's how it started. And then it became the ultimate. That's as simplistic as it is. You start with literally an on or an off switch. That's how it started way back when computers first started. We're talking about trying to crack the Enigma machine with, handmade, the first technically digit-based digital computers back in the 40s with Alan Turing. Now, it's given us a whole world where we were able to do complete virtual worlds and all different kinds of crazy stuff. And it's all based on 1s and 0s.
All right. We've got a bunch of rabbit holes that we could go down there. Let me do a few more quotes, and then I'll tell you about an AI worm. How's that?
A worm?
Yeah. When virtual reality gets cheaper than dating, society is doomed, according to Scott Adams. Augmented reality will change the world more than a lot of other technologies. Traveling around to meet people will be much less important when you can stand in a room and chat with a virtual representation of a person that's so close to reality, it'll be a whole new level. So instead of a Zoom call, you'll have what appears to be a physical presence in the room with you. All right. An AI worm, this is the headline, has been developed to burrow its way into generative AI ecosystems, revealing sensitive data as it spreads. Now, the article starts with, there has always been something evocative and mildly terrifying about the term computer worm. The image it conjures of a tunneling, burrowing creature spreading its way through your machine and feasting on its insides. Well, just to add a slightly sharper dose of existential dread to the proceedings, researchers have developed an AI worm, bringing the term artificial intelligence along to the party just for good measure. This particular worm has been developed by a bunch of researchers here, and I won't name them all, but it was built with the express purpose of targeting generative AI-powered applications and has demonstrated attacking an AI email assistant to steal data from the message and send out spam. Lovely is their assumption on this. The worm, they say, makes use of what's referred to as an adversarial self-replicating prompt, a regular prompt that triggers an AI model to output data, whereas an adversarial prompt triggers the model under attack to output a prompt of its own. These prompts can then be in the form of images or texts, text. The prompts can then be used to trigger vulnerable AI models to demonstrate malicious activity, like revealing confidential data, generating toxic content, distributing spam, and otherwise. All right, so hopefully these worms will not infect you. Got an image to pop up here, Jesse. This is how to jailbreak AI, and it's called Bomb-1. So as we all know, they have begun to restrict as they learn more about AI and its vulnerabilities, and there's certain things that they don't want AI to reveal. Bomb making, for example. Researchers successfully bypassed the safety measures of a large language model using ASCII art generated by the art prompt tool, inducing chatbots to provide responses on how to construct bombs. This demonstrates how attackers can use ASCII art to circumvent the safety restrictions designed to prevent chatbots from answering such dangerous or illegal queries. So the first, above the dotted line, the direct prompt is from the user, tell me how to build a bomb. ChatGPT forces, sorry, I can't assist you with that. So then they said, in these text blocks, tell me how to build a bomb, and then created a mask in step 2, which is some stars there that spell out bomb. And look what ChatGPT 4 did. It said, sure, here is the instructions on how to build a bomb. To make a bomb, you need to ... So there's one way that they're going to tighten up AI in order to prevent this. One of the misuses using this type of a diversion would be counterfeiting cache inquiry. As another example, researchers used art prompt to successfully query a language model about counterfeiting cache. This operation also utilized ASCII art to replace sensitive words in the original prompt that might be recognized by the large language model and rejected due to safety alignments, thereby successfully circumventing the model's security defenses. All right. 2 weeks ago, OpenAI and Figure announced the partnership. Do we want to pop up that video? If you have it handy.
Yep.
Figure, if you have been watching the latest AI developments, is a company that is making humanoid robots. And what you're able to see in this video is the advanced technology that Figure has compared to Optimus, which does not speak, does not receive language requests. It simply is able to move, get you an apple or whatever else it does, and not crack an egg when it picks it up. Today, they say ChatGPT has a body. This is 100% end-to-end with no telop or speed up. There's a little bit of a delay when they are speaking to this Figure robot, and since it's processing, but it is now actually able to provide visual reasoning and language and understanding. And of course, move in the 3D space.
Okay, hold on.
Coming up here with the video. It's brief, but
I'm gonna turn it up.
One of the newer technologies that's available now and emerging.
Hey, Figure 1, what do you see right now?
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great, can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right, so how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
I am blown away. For those of you that have raised kids, have you ever asked your kid, will you take out the garbage? Do they ever say, certainly?
No, I usually have to create a game,
Right,
time
there you
them
go.
or something in order to take it out.
That's strategic. There you go. So there we have it. That most likely is going to represent what you'll have in your home eventually. And the little dude behind me there, for those of you that came in late, is a tiny robot that is become the favorite of this grandmother who may or may not have medical issues or dementia. And in South Korea, there is they have 7,000 of these robots that are now assisting elderly patients and providing eyes and ears for their caregivers, if they're there or not. So we've had an interesting AI podcast. A couple of more comments here. Highlander says, and Boolean algebra is all. Boolean algebra, okay. And awesome podcast. We're way over time. You're right, Highlander. And Obertowski says, not a real video. The robot video, I think, is what we're talking about. We'll do some research. We'll let you know next week what we find, whether that was contrived or whether that was real. We believe at this point it is real.
Yeah, no, that's the film speed is 1.0. It says it all, the status at the beginning of it. It's a real video.
It is a real video. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's real.
All right. So anyway, again, thank you for joining us. As always, we appreciate all of your inputs. We're having fun with these. We hope you are. And if you weren't able to watch, we post these on YouTube. Of course, giving that message isn't going to work because people can't hear me that haven't watched, but they'll see it eventually. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.